Welcome everybody. I am here with the lovely and beautiful Hasnaa. Say hello, Hasnaa.
Hello.
Today is always a fun day. When we start to wrap up our work together and our coaching, we get to the opportunity like today to do some fun testimonial. And it's really just a celebration of what you have been through, Hasnaa, and where you started, where you're at today. And so it's like our bragging opportunity. And like we were talking before the start of the recording, it's just a good time to kind of reflect as well. So it's definitely, your story is very inspiring, which is why I wanted to do this. And so I'm very grateful for you just saying yes. Thank you for accepting my proposal. And so why don't we dive in and share a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Shelby. I just kind of like, how long has it been? 3 months now?
Yes, it's been about 3 months,
Like,
which is crazy.
I know, it just feels like we're buddies for like forever now. And, um, yeah, before that, like going back
Yeah,
a few
go
months ago,
back to how things were for you before we met. What were the things you were challenging with?
yeah,
Feeling
I
challenged
mean,
with?
I have started a healing journey, overall healing journey in 2009, and it continues to this day. I'm a survivor of violence, and so part of my trauma, ongoing trauma, is learning more about myself. And I kind of do the research, and I work in the same field, so it's
Yeah.
kind of it's a passion of mine. However, in May, with this year's pandemic and everything, and some personal struggles, I kind of hit rock bottom again, and I just wanted to do something different. And I enrolled in this other healing program, which kind of tackled the holistic way of living. And there was an eating food component to that program. And for some reason, there was a lot of no to the food that we were supposed to be on. And I tried it for a few um, weeks, and I after that I just ended up to my old self, which is like binge eating, getting in in these spiraling cycles of shame and hating my body, and just like really having this hate relationship with my body.
Hmm.
And I've just like, it never occurred to me at the back of my mind until we started working together, like there's a relationship between my healing and my food,
Hmm.
and my eating habits and my
Hmm.
and everything else. So I don't recall what got me. It was one of those moments where, like, looking for another new diet, or Googling for the next app, or it's like, I just want to get rid of that weight. I just want to look good and feel great and just be proud of myself. And then you popped in.
Not by chance.
And I remember just reading, or actually reading, and also like listening to some of the videos there, and just looking, like seeing how amazing, like you were like an athlete yourself, and just like hearing that coming from you, because all the previous examples I've had of people from the industry of the fitness industry were like, don't, and this very strict dieting. And so your testimony, everybody else's testimony, was really amazing, and it just inspired me to kind of schedule that call with you. And
Hmm.
glad to be there.
I remember, and I had it, I think we went over it when we were going over like our notes from our initial call, which was really fun. You said something like, I know that there's something dealing with my food and my relationship with food that is supposed to be a part of my healing journey. And I know it's there, but I just don't know what it is. I don't know how to go about it. And I was like, oh yes, this is going to be so awesome. I'm curious because everybody, when they start with me, always usually has a little bit of doubt. They have a little bit of hesitation. Did you have any of that brewing for you as well?
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
at first it was like, okay, I can't wait to get the list of foods and get to the work. And then it's like, um, at the back of my mind, it was like that negative self-talk, like, and we've shared a lot of that. It's
Yeah.
like nothing you're ever going to do that's going to work. You're going to continue to be with this, hating on your body, and you're not worth it. And I remember, like, one of the first few exercises you gave me, like the 7 levels of why, and digging through that, it was just a phenomenal aha moment for me, because it's like I connected my trauma to my eating habits, in a way of like kind of perpetuating the cycle of violence that I've been subjected to. And that to me was beyond just like, I don't know how to put it in words, how much
Mhm.
it just kind of was eye-opening. Yeah.
Well, I think that was what you needed to begin to make that shift in the whole relationship with food and maybe why some things were going on. So I was looking at that before our call here too, because I thought, well, that might be good to revisit because it really was, you said caring for myself means stopping the cycle of abuse. That's the short version of it. And so true. So true. And I think that was a good wrench to put into all of just the habitual thinking and those common diet urges, that when you start something, I think it helped put that to the side, and it really allowed you to step into our work with just a different perspective, and you were ready for it. I mean, you picked that stuff up really, really quick,
Yeah.
really, really quick. So what okay, I already asked you about the fears. So what do you think was the biggest, so outside of the wine, and that was impactful, but what do you think, what surprised you about what you learned that had such a significant impact for you?
I think the idea behind that, this has to do with willpower, which we talked about a lot,
Mm-hmm.
that because this is one of the kind of punishment tools that it used, like, you can't do this because you don't have willpower. And seeing beyond that, that it's actually, it has nothing to do with willpower. It's basically how we've been conditioned, and we've been, socialized into believing that we should continue the cycle of abuse towards our bodies because we don't look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just really kind of liberated me in a sense
Mm-hmm.
of wanting to, like, I'm like, just this morning I was like looking at myself, hugging myself and kissing my body, and it's just like this, there's this new appreciation of what it can do and what I have put it through all this time, just trying to force it into a certain unrealistic standard of beauty, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you don't break free from a long time of struggle with food without any challenge. I wish, but that's just not the reality. What do you think were some of your biggest challenges in this process?
I think one of my biggest challenges is external factors that come in, like forms of friends and,
Mm,
social circles. Because, like I've started to notice how much we talk about this in our circles, like
yeah.
the calories, like I need to kill myself today because I ate this and I need to do this. And I hate the way my butt looks. So I hate this. And it's just, the more I was working with you, the more I'm realizing how toxic that's been. So just kind of trying to stop allowing this kind of narrative to dictate how I'm going to continue my journey. Another one is, of course, these negative thoughts coming, slipping back in,
Yeah.
just sometimes. And remember the 4 phases that, we had to go through. And it was that moment when I want to slip back into just kind of, let me just binge eat, let me just kind of indulge in self-hating and self-loathing and just forget about the journey. But then it's like, no, you know better than this. So these are, I think, the most 2 prominent challenges.
Yeah. You bring up a good one. I don't think until you start to pluck yourself out of that environment are you able to really see, oh my gosh, you notice a lot when you start to go through your transformation. You notice not just how other people talk, but you also notice how other people are with food. I mean, it's very obvious at that point, and you also get to, as toxic as it can be, it's also I think opportunity to then have compassion for other individuals that are also still going through it, and they haven't been exposed to anything like you and I have done, and they think their world is still should be, kind of that diet realm, and you can only, just be you and hope and pray that they, come across a positive resource to help them too. So it definitely makes you see your I think level of success to even a greater degree, because sometimes we get tunnel vision and it's like, oh well, I still want to improve this and I still want to improve that, but when you see, wow, like I used to struggle like that person, I used to, like, that was me. It's a big eye opener in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, it's not like, I feel like, I'm talking down on them or anything,
Right,
but
no, absolutely.
it's more like this is how bad it is and ingrained it's in our day-to-day
Yeah.
conversation that we don't even, it's like we're on autopilot all the time thinking about this.
Yeah.
That's it.
100%. 100%. So let's take a moment and talk about how things have changed for you from, let's say, just how you're enjoying food. Food has really taken on a very strong spiritual component for you as well. So whatever you're willing to share as far as how things have changed for you would be lovely.
For sure. I mean, one of the things that I've started implementing this year overall is just my daily morning meditations. And, I'm a practicing Muslim. And so, in a way, that kind of just brought me closer to God in so many levels.
Yeah.
It's just like tuning in and just kind of thinking that there's a God in each one of us. There's a piece of God in each one of us. And I think that kind of shifted even the way I look at food. So, like, if that's the body that God gave me, and if there's a piece of God in me, then there's a better way for me to nourish that and to take care of it, and spiritually even. And so, I mean, even looking back at some of my religious teachings, it just, there's so much emphasis on fasting, like regular fasting, kind of to not to deprive yourself, but more like to kind of help with the process of detoxifying your body. And there's also like, the pleasure eating, like how do you eat, what do you say before eating, and so it's like everything you brought in just was so much in line with what I believe in. It's just like you help me see that like bigger picture and taking that extra step.
Yeah. So do you feel like things are kind of back to being restored, feeling just more second nature, enjoyable? I think is really important to note, because it was not, it was a mechanical thing for you
Oh
before.
yeah, for sure. It was mechanical. It was more like I eat and then I end up just feeling, why did I eat this? And I just kind of indulge in this cycle. And then, um, you know, um, there was no pleasure. It
Yeah.
was just more like I'm eating to torture myself. And then after I eat, I continue to torture myself. But now it's more like I'm picking my choices are like fun. Me and my husband kind of did a juicing week last
Oh,
week
cool.
to kind of do like just something different. And it's like he went and got all these like big boxes of fruit and vegetables. And every day in the morning we're like celery juice and then this and that. And so it's like it's become like a nice thing to kind of work or play with and
Yeah.
just experiment with and some new dishes. And it's like, and there is no list of yes or no. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so I feel like a piece of chocolate, maybe I can have a small piece of that and feel and enjoy it, not just torture myself after I eat it. So it's just
Yep.
like having that really healthy and beautiful relationship with what the choices I make and how I make them.
Yep. I'm glad that you brought that up, because I mean, you're making those choices not because, oh, I want to lose weight and I can, or I can't eat this, or I should eat this. Like, we're able to get rid of that, and you were able to find your way. And your way, as you said, it still includes some fasting, but it has nothing to do with, because we're trying to reach a weight loss goal. Excuse me. So it fits beautifully into the relationship that you've developed with the food, where you have a spiritual component, you're feeding the spiritual component, you're totally embodied, in tune. And when it comes to healing, like we've talked, you've totally hit the mark.
And remember, I texted you once. I said there's a sense of contentment that comes with this work that before it used to be that void that you just want to fill with anything, including food. But the minute you start to actually delve in and dig and do the work, there's a sense of contentment that you no longer need that
Yeah.
additional kind of meal or additional kind of snack that kind of you want to shut that achy feeling.
That's right. So when you meet the need, the rest sort of naturally starts to dissolve. It really does, when there's an underlying need and it's just not being filled, and sometimes we just don't know what that is, but a lot of times it is that just disconnect for very good reason. For you experienced a lot of trauma. For many others, they experience different kinds of trauma or abuse, or maybe it is nothing as traumatic as that, but there's still a disconnect. You know, anytime that we have struggles with food, there's always a disconnect, right? So we've closed the gap, which is really cool. So now that you've been through what you've been through in our time together, do you have any wise words of wisdom for those that are basically in the shoes that you were, where you've done a lot of healing, you've done a lot of diets, you have a history there, and so what advice would you have for them?
I believe that right now healing is a multi-layer, component.
Yeah.
So there is the physical part, there is the emotional part, there's the spiritual part. So the physical part, some of it has to do with, like our aches and, medical issues. And then part of it has to do with the food.
Yeah.
And so right now I can't look, like if I'm struggling with something, I look at all these pieces, and including how food relates to that, And so since 2009 until today, it's like almost 20 years now, and I've been in my healing journey, and only now I'm finally getting to that piece. And so I just cannot put into words how grateful I am for the work you do, Shelby, because it really is, for somebody who has tried every pill out there for dieting, for every app, every diet, and just ended up feeling so disappointed and so hating myself more. This has been the missing puzzle in my life to complete that holistic healing journey. And so I hope that, for whatever, reason that you've struggled before with trauma, that you really kind of take into consideration how food and our food choices and our relationship with our bodies kind of, continue to perpetuate that pain without us realizing.
Yeah, good point. Good advice too. And thank you. So that about wraps up our interview. That was awesome. Hang tight for just a second. Just say bye to everybody, and we'll wrap this up.
Thank you so much, Shelby. I really don't have enough words to say how grateful I am for this and for everything that you do. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Okay, hang tight.